5, 4, 3, 2, 1, disco. Hello Taurus, welcome to your horoscope for the full moon in Virgo. This is happening on the 7th of March at 11:42 p.m. if you're in the southern hemisphere with me. And look, it's not only the last full moon, the last hurrah, the last lunation of this trip around the zodiac. If Pisces is the culmination and Aries is the instigation, then we've got a new moon in Aries in 2 weeks. So that's the start of a brand new cycle. Not only that, it also heralds the shift of one of our outer planets, the first domino in this whole procession that I've been talking about for a while, of the new era. And that is Saturn will be leaving Aquarius finally and moving into Pisces. And so I want you, first of all, if we zone in on the Virgo bit of this story, Virgo for you rules the 5th house, which is how we express ourselves. It's how we create. It's what we're going to will into the world with our creation. And so from our individual point of light, little to do with everybody else, more to do with our essence, our say-so. And so we release at a full moon, don't we? We shed. We allow the moon to shine in our face, and we thank it very much for what we've learned up until this point. And if there's any insecurity or trepidation or fear around self-expression for you, Taurus, then at a Virgo moon, you can always kick that to the curb. So thank you very much. Thanks for keeping me safe, I guess, brain, by telling me that I'm not good enough or not smart enough or not ready. Sure. Thanks for trying to avoid conflict or avoid disappointment. However, get off my back. At this Virgo full moon, I'm going to shed some of that insecurity, and I'm also going to celebrate all of the parts of me that do express themselves, that do have a voice, my stories, my ideas, what it is that I know. I'm going to allow that to come and find its avenue, find its pathway. We create in the 5th house in all sorts of different ways. It can be music, it can be art, it can be, storytelling, anything. But as long as you're expressing yourself in your 5th house, Taurus, then you're doing the right thing. To have a Virgo fifth house has a lot to do with the Hermit card, I might say. In the major secrets of tarot, the Hermit is Virgo energy. And it's because they move away from society to perfect spiritual practice, to really allow their senses to quieten and fine-tune them so they can pick up on those frequencies and also absorb the messages from spirit land, from magical land, whatever language you like to use, and then materialize it with their craft. They bring it out. They make it so. They make it real. Virgo's an earth sign like you, Taurus. You've got lots in common. You can be good friends, good sturdy reliability there. The moon's at 16 degrees of Virgo at this full moon. And the tarot card for that point in the zodiac is the 9 of Pentacles. And so this is a moment of reflection. You can see the sun shining. You can see that this individual is looking around themselves at all that they've cultivated so far and is beaming with sort of serenity and pride in their hard work. And so I want this for you at this full moon, Taurus. I want you to sort of cast your mind back to the life lived so far and think to yourself, holy shit, I lived that. I did that. I made this happen. I'm proud of myself. I've done really, really well to get this far. And I want to continue because I've got more to do. So that's the sort of, like, that's what I always want you to kind of find yourself back to that space if you can, Taurus, at a Virgo full moon. Always come to this point of like culmination, sort of like I'm expressing myself as best I can. I'm creating from mastery and from craftsmanship, and I'm good at what I do, and I'm proud of it, and there's more to do, as there always is, and I'm going to get it done because I'm a Taurus and I can go the distance. I've got the patience for it. But now I want you to sort of maybe, let's think about Pisces, because this is where this shift is happening. So I spoke a lot about your sense of belonging and your worry potentially about the human species in the last reading, the Pisces new moon. Remember, we had all those conversations about sort of trepidation and fear around what's to become of all of us. You know, that sort of feeling of dissociation when the worries of the world just seem to be growing and spinning out of control. And so what I will mention to you is that Saturn brings with it regulation, restriction, lessons. And so if we think about our lives from March of 2020, and I know I don't want to trigger you with anything because I know that that period of time was difficult for most of us. March of 2020 was really, it heralded in, it tipped over its own set of dominoes, didn't it? Life that we knew before March of 2020 was very different to the life that we know now. Very different to what we existed through. And now we're sort of getting to a point, and there's a lot of language about sort of getting back to normal. And so I want you to think about that. I want you to think about, okay, are we going to get back to normal? But what is normal? And I was really good at working with those boundaries while they were in Aquarius. I was really good at centering myself, of finding my rhythm, of finding my hope, holding on to it and not letting it go. And how can I take what I've learned and bring that into Pisces? This feeling of restriction and boundary, healthy boundary, might be a good thing for you to really visualize, Toro. I like that. El Toro. Anyway, El Toro the bull. Anyway, how can you bring that lesson into your common space? Because Pisces in your 11th house definitely shows me that you're cosmically connected to other people, that there is a great feeling of empathy and consideration for folks around you, that sometimes it might be a bit confronting too, because it's a feeling of feeling on behalf of, you know, your intuitive prowess is really great in a room. You know what physical space doesn't feel comfortable, and you'd much prefer not to be there. And that's wonderful superpower of yours. And so maybe there's something about this boundary. Has there been things that you learned about yourself, about other people since March of 2020? And have you come to realize that not every foghorn sounding a Vanel is based in fact, based in truth, based in integrity? Perhaps there's been sides of other folks that you kind of recognized, and you've gone, oh, I didn't know that that was in you, and it's taken me this long, and we're back in company with one another, And actually, it's very important for me to tell you how I see the world and how I see fact and the truth, and where my integrity lays, what my principles and values are. This is how I intend to interact with community and interact with the species itself. This is what I believe in, and this is who I believe deserves respect. Boundaries. This is the first domino, remember? Because then no sooner does Saturn enter Pisces, then a couple of weeks later Pluto enters Aquarius. So poor Aquarius has only had this limited space between Saturn leaving their sign and then Pluto entering their sign. So we're at the beginning. I'll say it again. We've got 2023 to deal with, 2024, 2025, a crescendo in 2026. Hopefully a beautiful moment of profound hope and profound celebration at our perseverance. But right now, this is the first domino. So, be like Virgo. Go inward if you have to. Don't stay there. I think that's probably just some advice from me to you, Taurus, is I think that sometimes I'm reluctant to come out again after I've gone inward, and that's not very good. It's always good to re-enter, but perhaps re-enter community or re-enter communities that are singing the truth to you. And maybe they're different from the ones that existed pre-March 2020. Oh, there's the Empress, FYI. But let's get you some cards and let's see how we can really, some cards to celebrate the final full moon of this cycle, to celebrate the end of Saturn in Aquarius, to welcome Saturn in Pisces. A Page of Swords, Temperance, and the Ace of Wands. If there's someone around you, Taurus, that's potentially younger than you, I might say, that has like a sort of exuberant quality about them, that is kind of hungry for knowledge. They don't have to be an air sign, but that kind of, that kind of modus operandi, someone that sort of has an incredibly inquisitive brain, thirsting for knowledge. They've just landed, they've just dropped something on your lap, and you're like, oh golly, that's the truth. That's the truth. I didn't think about it that way. Awesome. I want you to trust that. Whatever little, you can see here, the Page of Swords is hungry for knowledge, hungry to know. They also sometimes come out with some crackers. They just drop the truth like a bomb, and you can't argue with that. They're a bit wet behind the ears. They're a page, they're sort of coming up, coming up in this life. But they've said something to you and you can't, it's sort of like, I can't argue with that. And so then we have Temperance, which is, this card is Sagittarius. So the word temperance is funny because there was the temperance movement, wasn't there? And that kind of sounds like, you sort of temper a flame, don't you? It sort of sounds like a container for sort of a burst of passion. It's kind of not. I think the temperance movement was sort of the movement that wanted to eradicate alcohol and all that kind of thing, to sort of quieten down the sort of fiery, aggressive aspects of being a human being. In the tarot, temperance means something else. It's sort of like an alchemy. It's a magical card that talks about using the qualities of water and using the qualities of fire and mixing them together with magic in order to hit the target. So if you think about, fire and water is magic and emotion. And so I think that if these words are sort of hitting home for you, then probably good to find your target, Taurus, and then you can start creating. I wonder if this page, because the next card is the Ace of Wands, and that's an offer from Spirit, from Gaia, from, the ghosts, giving it right to you, saying this is the match. Match, Aries season. That's nice. We know that Aries rules your 12th house, don't we, Taurus? That's your unconscious access, your doorway, your magical portal. Is there, I don't know if it's children, there's someone around you that sort of said something to you and you were like, oh, golly, yep, out of the mouths of babes is a nice phrase for the Page of Swords. It's it's absolute honesty. And so I think that, what I see, this Sagittarius kind of figure is really powerful to me. I like this sort of preparation. And if we think about the Ace of Wands as the match, this is Aries season. We're going to be starting the new trip around the zodiac in your 12th house. So it's almost like going back a step, back to your past lives, back to your unconscious brain. If you can dip below the surface, there's a lot of great support there right now. Jupiter's going to be making that conjunction with Chiron. Chiron. Wait a second. So on the 13th of March, Jupiter, the planet of expansion, is coming into conjunction with Chiron, which is our wounded healer, which I often relate to Sagittarius. Similar centaur vibes about the two of them. Some say that Chiron was, Sagittarius was installed in the cosmos in memoriam of Chiron, our wounded healer. And so there's a moment of healing that's happening on the 13th of March. And it might hit you in a place where you can't quite, past lives, ancestral trauma. There's something here on the 13th of March. It's like an opportunity to salve. And it's going to sort of release you in some way to move forward in a more confident sort of Sagittarian way, sort of alchemizing and about to hit the mark. You've been working towards something really important. And it's all the genesis of this is this Page of Swords. This innocent that said something they didn't realize hit so deeply for you. Yeah. That's your reading, Taurus. I hope it was worthwhile. We've had a lot to think about over Pisces season. It's really, it's brought up all manner of ghosts, hasn't it? So we're going to work with those ghosts. We're going to thank them for being here. We're going to respect and love them. And we're going to listen to Saturn. We're going to really remember what we learned with their company in Aquarius. And we're going to take the best bits of that into Pisces so we can move ahead. This sense of humanity, community, culture. What can Saturn teach us about this? And what did that little person say to you that you can't ignore as being the God's honest truth? I'll speak to you in 2 weeks and we can light that match together. In 2 weeks, there's the new moon in Aries, Ace of Wands. Let's get this started. Let's get this happening. Let's move forward. Love you very much, Taurus. Head to umaruby.com and get your birth chart read by me if you haven't already. You can pick from the menu via the readings page. Also, you can send me some tip money at buymeacoffee.com/umaruby. Other than that, I'll speak to you in 2 weeks to strike that match. Take care, Taurus. Bye.